제가 본 영상 중에 트럼프 정부의 의도와 세계 경제를 가장 정확하게 해석한 영상입니다. 현재 시장은 어떻게 흘러갈 것인지, 어떻게 대처해야 하는지 알려줍니다.
One of the reasons why I'm absolutely convinced we are really in it right now in terms of what I call the sovereign debt crisis was just the relentless upward motion of gold. I mean, gold was up 50% in the last year, from 2070 to 3150. So today I think it's down $70 or something. But as a result of it, I mean, when you have an event like what just happened and the markets go down, we've got a very strong possibility of all correlations going to one, where everybody sells everything because their margin calls, and we still have a fairly highly leveraged system, and that's shown by the work that James Lavish did on the basis trade, and the way they're talking about putting a line of credit in to back up the hedge funds that are in the basis trade to help buy the treasury bonds. It's going to be a chaotic environment, and what I counsel all of my clients to do is to own things the government can't print, and they can't print Bitcoin, they can't print gold, they can't print real estate. I put real estate at the bottom though, because they can tax it, and they will. But I think that's your best defense mechanism through all of this turmoil, and to not get shaken out of it. I mean, in a correlation of one event. I mean, I remember March 2020. Bitcoin and gold got badly hammered in the beginning of that downturn, and then of course Powell came in with his fire hose, and they quickly recovered and went screaming to new highs.
We went from 10K to 3K on Bitcoin, and then.
But we've already had two big threats. We had one in 2008, and then we had another bigger one, in 2020. And all I'm saying is this pattern will continue, and I think the next one will be bigger than either of those two.
Absolutely.
So it's coming, and I don't know when though. I'm pretty sure within a 2-year window. Maybe a lot sooner, but certainly within 2 years. The stock market doesn't like it, and the stock market's very overvalued and vulnerable anyway. So it's somebody, I was reading something this morning, said, Trump kind of threw a grenade into the world economy and is going to see what happens. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough thing to call. The structure of the world where, we printed money and shipped it out to other people, and they made cheap goods and sold them to us and accepted the money. It's clearly we've reached the end of that rope. I mean, just the mathematics of the debt problem are so large that we've reached the end of that rope. And I think what Trump and dissent are hoping is that they can disrupt that and put a brief end or an end to globalism, or at least try and restore fair trade, which we really haven't had for 40 years. So, I mean, it's unfair that we have a disadvantage as a result of being a reserve currency, having a strong dollar. Our manufacturers and producers. I mean, the cost is that, as we saw in COVID, we didn't have enough medical supplies, because as we've seen kind of in this war in Russia, we haven't been able to send enough shells and missiles and so forth. So, and this is all because, the manufacturing base of the U.S. is hollowed out. And so he's put a real flag in the sand, and he's thrown a kind of a grenade into the economy and saying, we're going to change this. And, I have to say, on balance, I generally speaking agree with it. I know. We're talking to other investors this morning. Their kind of thought was, well, he's just playing chess, and he'll back off of this, and this isn't serious, and the markets are going to be okay. And I'm not so sanguine. I think this might be the pin that burst the stock market bubble, and I do believe the stock market is in a bubble. So it's kind of put on your helmet and cover your head time, at least in equities, in my view, because tariffs. I mean, we saw in Smoot-Hawley in the Great Depression and other times. Tariffs are very, very demand dampening, recessionary, etc. And they're like a tax, and effectively they're inflationary because they'll make everything that we buy from overseas cost more. So I get it. I get the strategy of trying to bring manufacturing back to the United States, and I applaud that. But I don't think this isn't easy. I mean, we're ripping off a really big Band-Aid, and it's going to hurt. That's kind of the way I look at it. So this globalist system got built up, post World War II. And really accelerated post-71 when we abandoned the gold standard, and really, the U.S. became a financial country, not a manufacturing country. That's a lot of years to build something up. Trump's in office for 4 years, and so you don't reverse that big a trend that's that entrenched. I think what Trump's trying to point out and what he's reacting to is really back to the monetary problem of having the world's reserve currency in Triffin's dilemma. And so as a result of, it's one thing if, each country does what they're comparatively better at. It's another thing if they do what they're comparatively better at, and one country has reserve currencies. We're going to fix it. But fixing it's not a straight line. It's a crooked line with pain, and missteps and all the usual crap, but we'll get there. It'll get better. I'm quite bullish about the world that my kids and grandkids will live in, but I'm a little bearish about the next 5 to 10 years. I think, I'm not bearish. I would just say, brace yourself, because I think there will be turmoil. I mean, I've lived through 2008. I lived through 2020. Obviously, you did too. With 2000, I've seen this movie, and it's a roller coaster at times, as you know.
Yeah, it's turbulence, perhaps short-term pain for long-term gain.
Exactly. That's exactly what it
can be adopted by the Trump admin.
That's exactly right. That's the right way to view it. It's going to be a very interesting couple of years, and it has a lot of implications for gold and Bitcoin. I mean,
제 채널에 등장하는 전문가들은 대부분 비트코인을 좋게 이야기해야 하는 위치에 있는 사람들입니다. 고객 자금을 굴리고 있거나 회사 자금으로 비트코인을 구매한 사람들이 많기 때문이죠. 시장에는 정답질은 없습니다. 그럼에도 많은 투자자들은 리스크를 감수하고 돈을 벌기 위해서 비트코인 시장에 뛰어드는 것이죠. 하지만 급등락하는 비트코인 시장에서 급등과 급락을 반복하는 차트를 보고도 개인 투자자들이 욕심과 공포를 떨쳐내고 평정심과 내 자산이 우상향을 하는 것은 말처럼 쉽지가 않으실 겁니다. 저 또한 전업투자자 생활을 오래 했지만 항상 좋은 자리를 기다리고 인내해야 수익을 조금씩 낼 수 있었습니다. 그래서 저희 앤드류 트레이딩 팀에서는 어떻게 하면 일반 개인 투자자들도 투자 시장에서 수익을 낼 수 있을까? 구독자분들께 어떻게 하면 조금이라도 도움을 좀 드릴 수 있을까? 고민을 하다가 구독자분들도 비트코인이 명확하게 상승 추세가 나왔을 때만 투자를 하실 수 있게 한다면 수익이 조금 나지 않을까? 라는 생각을 하게 되었는데요. 제가 전업 투자를 하면서도 개발자로 오래 일을 했기 때문에 저도 써볼 겸 유료 결제를 해서 결국 만들었습니다. 바로 비트코인이 정말 신뢰할 수 있는 상승 추세인 건지 횡보인지 하락인지 알 수 있게 도움을 주는데요. 지금 보고 계시는 건 비트코인 차트인데요. 제가 빨간색 네모 박스로 표시해둔 곳을 보시면 주황색 61선과 파란색 121선이 교차하는 구간에서 추세가 변동되는 걸 보실 수 있습니다. 실제로 지금 비트코인은 최근에 61선과 121선이 데드크로스 하방 교차하면서 조정이 나오고 있는데요. 제가 운영 중인 앤드류 관점 채널에서는 보시다시피 2월 25일부터 제가 줄 곧 비트코인 하락 관점을 제가 말씀드리고 리스크 관리에 대해서 말씀을 드렸고 많은 분들이 도움을 받으셨습니다. 물론 데드크로스가 난다고 해서 무조건 하락하지도 상승하지도 않습니다. 저희 앤드류 트레이딩 팀에서 개발한 알파빗 지표는 약 8개의 고급 추세 기준과 트레이더들의 노하우를 담아서 차트가 상승할 확률이 높을 때 신호가 나오도록 개발을 하였습니다. 그 결과 저희 전문 트레이딩 팀 또한 판단에 도움받을 정도로 만족할 만한 놀라운 성과를 보였습니다. 시중에 유료로 팔 수 있을 정도로 가치 있는 지표이지만 저희 앤드류 채널 영상을 시청해주시는 구독자분들께는 무료로 제공해드리기로 마음먹었습니다. 저 또한 며칠 밤새 테스트하며 어렵게 만든 지표이지만 구독자분들 성원에 힘입어 저 또한 도움을 받고 있기 때문에 어렵게 공유드리기로 마음먹었습니다. 초보자분들부터 경력이 오래된 트레이더분들까지 굉장히 큰 도움을 받을 수 있는 지표라 도움이 되실 거라고 자부합니다. 신청 방법은 하단 더보기란과 고정 댓글에 나와 있으니 많은 신청 부탁드리고 이번 하락장에서 모두 잘 살아남으셔서 좋은 성적 내시면 좋겠습니다.